Unreal blueprints, moving between levels. So let's talk about levels a little bit. What do we know so far? We know levels are collections of actors. We knew each level has its own built-in blueprint, the level blueprint, and we know this can be used to store data outside of and in communication with actors within the level. We also know when the project starts, a new level is loaded, and we know projects can potentially be composed of many different levels. And these four things may seem relatively simple, but they expand to fill basically everything we will need to understand about levels within Unreal. We just say levels are collections of actors, they all have their own blueprints. We start with a level, and potentially we have many different levels. Let's kind of deal with these concepts a little more complicated here. So each level is content. So it is a collection of actors, but it's also content. Each added level is its own entry in the content browser. So we can add levels in the content browser, as I will demonstrate in Unreal, and we can double click on those levels to open them in the Unreal editor to edit them. Alternatively, we can open levels using window levels, which is either a panel or window depending on how you have it configured, and then we can select levels to edit or access its level blueprint more directly. We can also, as we will talk about in a future video, layer levels on top of each other and in the same game space. So let me expand on that thought just a little bit here. So if we use window levels option, or open a new window or potentially a panel if you have it configured that way, and we can create new levels within the current existing permanent level or permanence level, and then we can add levels together. What this allows us to do is create multiple levels, sub-levels of an existing level in the same time in the same game space. So if we want to create a huge space, potentially a very, very large game space, we can create a bunch of different sub-levels, connect them all together, and then operate them as if they were all separate levels within a larger single level. Because remember, as I mentioned at the top of this video, levels are just collections of actors. There's nothing that says that one level has to be open and then you have to close it and open another level. In fact, as we will see again in future content, we can combine these together and create sub-levels to organize things in more efficient ways and potentially even dynamically load and unload sections of a level, thus freeing up parts of memory for other things at the same time, and creating the perception of a much larger world for a player than is actually within practice or is even loaded at a time, but we'll talk about in the future videos. So one last thing, we can travel between levels by using the open level by name node. This will directly travel from one level to another, and this is particularly useful when we want to immediately move to that level. Now in future videos we will revisit the idea of streaming levels, so we can make this much more dynamic where we can figure out what parts of levels we want to load and load things in a much more dynamic way. But if we want to immediately move to travel to a different level, we can use open level by name. So let's look at all of this within Unreal. So moving over into Unreal, you will see I have previously created a level right here. I will go ahead and create a new one. So if I right click within the content browser, go to level, and I'm just going to press enter. And now I have a new level, so new world 1, along with new world and first level. So if I double click on any of these, for example, new world 1, it will ask, hey, do I want to confirm save? Yes, I do. And then it will open it up. And there appears to be just a black screen. This isn't technically true, we're just not seeing any of its content, it doesn't have any lighting. Notice over here in its world outliner, it just lists the world. That's the only thing we're looking at. Now if I were to move back over to first level, by double clicking on it, we would see its world outliner shows a number of different things. So my project's currently configured to have this open right here, and if I were to play, we would immediately jump into this level. I could sort of move around here and we could look around. However, what I want to do is I want, as soon as this level starts, to immediately jump to another level. So open level by name. I'm going to do that using the level blueprint. Now the reason I'm going to do that is to get us used to thinking of level navigation as sort of outside any particular actor. And in the future, we'll actually use widgets to create menus to do things, but we want to sort of separate level logic into its own part. So if I want to edit the level blueprints, level blueprint, and here it is right here. I'll make this a little bigger. So as soon as this starts, I want to immediately jump to travel to another level. So pull off this execution pin for event begin play, and I want open level by name. And where are we going? Let's go to New World. So if I save and compile this, what should immediately happen is when I go to play this level right here, it should immediately move us to the next level, which is immediately what it did. So we started in one level, this level right here. Sorry, I'm through the floor here. And as soon as I played it, boom, moved us to another level. Now, not terribly useful right here within this space, but we might in the future, again, revisit this as part of menus, which will move us to particular levels, or if we want to immediately jump into a space, we can use that as well. So let's kind of review what I've talked about in this video is dealing with levels, particularly moving between them. So we can start to get a taste of sublevels. Just I've sort of talked about it in this video, and we'll revisit in a future video. But we can easily create new levels by using the context menu within the content browser, right-clicking, selecting level, create a new level. We can then open those levels for editing, and we can, at least right now, use open level by name to immediately jump to that level and work on its content, or immediately see that content within the project as we're playing it. And all of these concepts we built on in future videos.